First of all, we would like to welcome you, sir. Welcome in Nepal, sir. What is your analysis on the current situation of the country?
I think the country is going in a tectonic shift out there, and Nepal is in a very transitional mood. The people are very, courageous like that. They are very looking at a positive dimension, but there is a lot of negation also in the Nepali political situation because of so much unsolvable problems and issues that has occurred, especially as regards the political issues and in terms of the economy is not rising very fast in Nepal. So there are very challenges out there.
You just mentioned about the tectonic shift. What does that mean, sir? What kind of tectonic shift you are talking about?
Actually, when we look into the issues of Nepal, Nepal embarked in 2062. That's already around 11 years out there. Nepal moved into a situation where the country will go into more state where each and every body and entity will have its own role to play out there, but that has not been materialized in Nepal, and economic situation is not rising very fast. The constitution was promulgated just last year like that. So how to go on and dwelling into the constitution and bringing about, let's say, the elections and other issues which is very pertaining to people's democracy, because for the last 19 years we have not had faced local elections in Nepal.
Sir, what is your analysis that we have not been able to develop, or say, let's say, the economic growth or even the political situation of the country? We have not been able to, shift the dimension. What is the major reason behind this? Since technically speaking, lots of changes has come. We
Yeah.
have moved on to this Ganatantra,
Yeah.
Loktantra, what we
Yes.
say from
Yes.
Rajtantra. What is the
Yes.
reason that we have not been able to stand still in the mandate of the people?
I think in terms of we talk about a federalistic structure and Ganatantra, you saw it like that. But the issue of the monarchy was not done in a very candid mood, and there wasn't any discussion out there as to whether to put the monarchy in Nepal or to abrogate, which was abrogated very fast within one day. So that is also a very pertinent question in Nepal. Apart from that, the acceleration of democracy did not take place as anticipated by the people. This is a major problem because only 13% of the spending of the budget, when it is done within 7 months, that's a major cause. We are falling into Keynesian economy out there. That also Keynesian economy also we are not following up out there. So actually the country may need more competitive liberal market economy where that the competitiveness, the entrepreneurship quality of the people can rise very fast and the people will get opportunity. Look at the people, 600, more than 600,000 people are just migrating from Nepal outside for work. And this is a major cause because there is no work for employment. I'm talking also for the uneducated people, educated people. These are major problems. So these problems has to be very nicely dwelt with within our perimeter of what we have.
Why we have not been able to do so? Why we have not been able to attain the economic growth? Why we have not been able to to shift the transition towards the development of the country?
Sadly, what I think is, we are not doing our homework properly, especially from the governance side. What I'm trying to stress is when there are political parties, and Nepal has fallen into such type of parliamentary democracy system where there will probably for the next 20, 15, 20, 25 years we could just go into coalition government. So when the coalition is formed, they need to sit down together, thrash out the issues, thrash out the problems, and to create certain major and minor. These are the themes that the government is going to go through within our, let's say, because of the majoritarian rule of the parliamentary system. And according to that theme, only when the government goes, then it can play a major role. And sadly, that has not been done in Nepal. So what happens is always perpetually, day by day, we are just going into dialogue and chaos and just discussion, and as if there is establishment and anti-establishment forces. Who is in the anti-establishment? Once you are not in power, are you an anti-establishment? Once you are in power, you are an establishment. So there is this type of conflict situation which made Nepal for 11 years, and it is still in a rampant way, in a more peaceful manner. It's not like like in those days where there was armed struggle also going on, and that has not been solved very well as anticipated by the people themselves. They want a recourse, they want to see more tranquility, more peace, and more acceleration of the development process.
Who is the major culprit for this?
I think, to be very frank, I think the political parties and the ruling and the opposition, they need to sit together, taking into confidence of the people. What is the problem in Nepal? What I see is, each and every political party is just trying to put the electorates as their, members. Suppose UML has 400,000 members, Nepali Congress has the same, around Maoist party also has around 300,000. So is the case with the Janjati parties and the Madhya-based parties. So
There are lots of political parties, you mean to say?
lots of political parties, and even the taking the people into their fold, people, I think 20, 25, 30%, 40% of the people they have to be independent. In parliamentary system, if you do not have independence, like I can give you example of Soviet Union, around 280 million people were out there, and around 15 million people were from the cadre base who supported the Communist Party. But when there was this shift out there, the 15 million people could not support their party because their ideology had faltered down. So we need to look into the plans and programs and ideology and create more independence, more autonomy, give more independence, more entrepreneurship to the people, and then the people will say, well, please don't disturb in our internal affairs and don't politicize us. Then I think there will be tectonic shift in Nepal.
You just mentioned about the Soviet Union, where you studied journalism, the base of, let's say, Marxism, quote unquote Marxism. How do you analyze the utility of Marxism in Nepal? Because so many parties, they have been advocating for Marxism. Even the recent party, let's say the Maoist or even the CPN UML, the jug, the base was the Marxism, the Leninist, right? What is your opinion? What is the utility of this Marxism in Nepal?
Exactly, you have raised a very pertinent issue. And most of the parties in Nepal, we are in the ruling, or in the opposition, let's say UML or the Maoist party or other splinter groups, or even of the Maoist and other parties.
Even Dr. Babram Bhatt, right?
Even Dr. Babram, maybe Dr. Babram.
In one way or two way, they
Yeah,
touch,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah,
There is
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
touch.
yeah. Background is that, but I think it's trying to change also. We have to see like that. And even the Social Democratic Party, the Nepali Congress, because a lot of influence of Marxism and socialism. But to be very frank, I feel that the philosophy of Marxism has faltered in the world. So because the countries in the world are going into parliamentary democracy, presidential system of governments where there is check and balances, and they want more entrepreneurship, more market economy, more liberal, and it's a very, very competitive world. The world is very competitive, and no one wants to be left behind the competitiveness spirit. Look at China, even a Marxist country is going into competitive market system. Look at India, there are trillions and trillions of dollars, they are just going and enjoying and taking their benefit like that. Look at Brazil and Argentina. So what we need to understand from Nepal's viewpoint is we are very much perplexed. We talk about, let's say, mixed type of economic structure. I think that is not going to work. That was the emulation from the partyless system of the panchayat regime, which for the last 28 years, sadly, the parties, multi-party democratic parties were in the helm of the government. They took that. So Nepal has really economically faltered during these last 28 years. Only once, in 2049, there was a system called liberalization of the economic structure. The government tried its level best to do that. Apart from that, it has not materialized. So these are very pertinent issues which needs to be cut down.
The reason behind this is again the political party.
The reason behind this is, I think, let's say very few homework, very few brainstorming, and what the country wants, the dimension of the country. I talked about the poverty elevation like that, millennium goals, sustainable development like that. and let's say the human resource manpower. Just imagine,
But we have amples of plans for that, isn't it? Like Rashtriya Yojana Ayog has drafted so many plans, and even the Punanirman Pradhikaran has drafted so many plans for the reconstruction. Right? What is the basic reason that we have not been able to implement those plans?
To be very frank, I think the plans in itself has its own faults and lacunas because they come into, let's say, NPC for about 6 months and the change of the government is done very fast. They do not have ample time and energy to think and rethink, and the brainstorming is very little. So fundamentally, Nepal needs to take such a step where there could be a coalition of, let's say, governments within that system. We have to accelerate our development to from, let's say, 3%, 4% to 8, 9% as India and China are doing like that. So that competitiveness spirit where the agency of the government only facilitates and not tries to dictate over, the development plan, development endeavors like that, where red tapeism, bureaucracy is ended. I can just give you one example. In ecology, if you want to change certain laws, you have to change, you have to talk with 7 ministries, change and look into more than 27 types of rules and regulations, and more than 30 types of departments. Just imagine, there is so much red tapeism in the type of working pattern in Nepal. So how can we expect infrastructure development, poverty elevation, growth rate of 10% and 11% or 9%, which we could achieve? I can give you example, like 500, 600,000 our young people are just giving exams, SLC. Do they have any type of opportunity where they can be entrepreneurs? Does the government supply or energize and give them assistance or economic assistance to 10 plus 2 or undergraduate level or master's level or other types of level? Very few. So these are major problems which needs to be tackled for the development.
And we can achieve the development, isn't it, sir? Right. What about the external forces? It is said that because of or due to this external forces as well, Nepal is not being able to develop, or Nepal has been, or they have been granting Nepal as the playing station for their, such kind of their one intimate, or let's say their one kind of psychology. There is such kind of.
I think Nepal is faced in a very unique position because of the cultural dimension, economic direction, geospatial relations also. We have very good affinity with India, historical affinity actually, even with China and other countries also. So that type of rapport building is out there. Other countries, like let's take the example of Japan. Japan has been accelerating its development so much. USA came, during the 50s, 1950s, 1960s, malaria eradication, family planning, on the education side. Look at the tremendous effort that they put. Look at the effort of Great Britain. Look at the effort of Germany, West Germany, other countries also. There are so many countries, Scandinavian countries like that, who helped in human rights development, in economic development, in spearship. But what I'm trying to say is there should be more transparency. There should be more people-oriented. They should also enhance collaboration with, let's say, academics, researchers, and other things also. They should be more, flexible towards what are the feelings and more research-oriented like that. Then that acceleration, their assistance will be more fruitful.
Right. They have been assisting Nepal. Western countries, they have been assisting in Nepal through amples of ways. But it is said that not only India and China, apart from India and China, even the developed countries, like let's say the European Union, or let's say even the Western countries, they have been playing in Nepal for this, for Nepal, or sending Nepal in this crisis. Do you believe it or not?
I think especially from the Western world and let's say other countries in the Eastern world also, Nepalese have their own tradition, own cultural feelings. It's much better for them to assess that, to assist, rather than to change the psychology or to change their cultural attitudes or to change the religious attitude like that and in this manner. I think this is one of the major causes that has really spoiled the hearts and minds of the Nepalese people during these last 7, 8 years, and we have to look into that considerations. Apart from that, like we'd really anticipate, let's say the example of India, we have such close relationship with India. We don't need even passport. There, Indians also do not
The
need
economic
passport.
giant.
Economic giant of India. Let's go into collaboration. Let's talk about energy or building of the roads or networking and all those things in a more amicable manner. $4 billion of trade deficit with India. So Nepal also has to get that opportunity to come together. China also the same case. China is such a good neighbor of Nepal like that. But what we need to understand is in infrastructure development, tourism purposes, energy purposes, integrative way, because this whole, I think the South Asian region is going to change tremendously during the next 5, 10, 15 years like that. Let us not miss the opportunity.
Right. It is said that you just said that the relation between Nepal and India, but it is said there is one kind of psychology that India is creating a hurdle in the process of development in Nepal. That might be political development or the economic development. What is your say on it?
I think India does not seem to create any kind of hurdle to Nepal. Actually, we need to understand its, propositions like that. On the people to people basis, the Indian people and the Nepalese people are in great affinity like that. Political level also that affinity is there. Direct infiltration, for each and every country will really harm. If there is direct infiltration, let's say in politics or economic structure or socialization process like that, it could harm both the countries. So we really want to see prosperous Nepal, prosperous India. So really, these types of, which was seen in the panchayat area, as if the structure of our relationships is mirrored by certain type of things and disputes like that, it should be avoided. It should be avoided for the benefit of both the nations. Both the nations are really going from a developing state within this, let's say 10, 15 years, it has to come into a middle economic zone like that. So we'd like to see more collaboration out there, more cohabitation out there, more positiveness out there, more freedom, more in the economic, market system like that, joining together, less taxation, where even India, 4 billion, as I said, dollars, 4 billion rupees, we just have trade deficit with India, so we have to have more products to sell to them, and taxation also a little bit. On Indian side also, what are their situation? Nepal also needs to understand, those things. So when we look at those framework in a more positive manner, it will be much better for India. It is also the case with China. China also wants to have very good rapport with Nepal, with India in terms they want to build the trade relations in very multidimensional phase like that. So actually, this South Asian region is in such a plane right now. I think it's going to, it's a locomotive engine economic growth for the whole world.
In what way you are saying that this South Asian region has been.
I'm sure, Russians are going to come, Americans and Western Europe and other countries are just going to come and open up their floodgates and open up the companies out there. And, this whole region is going to change tremendously during the next 10, 15, 20 years.
But the South Asian countries have the country like Nepal as well as Sri Lanka as well as Bangladesh and Maldives and Bhutan, which is least developed country, which is considered as least developed country. Don't you think that there will be the domination of India in that manner?
India, of course, is a very huge country, large country in terms of its economic size and the population like that. There will be like that because there will be subsidiary companies from, let's say, US companies, Lifebuoy US companies subsidizing, working together with India, and they are coming to Nepal. So what I really mean is now we have to use our minds and hearts and brain. Let us say in information communication technology, Nepal can earn millions and millions of rupees. In terms of tourism also Nepal can do. In terms of energy structure also Nepal has that potential. But what we need to understand is, the managerial system, effective managerial system. I'd like to take the example, the case of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew and Malaysia. That just imagine 1950s, it was almost the same. South Asian, South Korea, it was almost the same. Nepal had given rights, during those civil war from Nepal to South Korea. So there is huge potential because there is so lot of energized human resources, very educated human resources in Nepal also. So I think there should be amicable situation whereby those younger people who have great potential to work in an educated manner can work together, bring a lot of companies out there, And then everyone is going to share that benefit. I'm sure India, China, Nepal, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Maldives, every country,
Right.
Myanmar.
In course of this discussion, you just said you just coined the term that India and China, the major strength for Nepal. How can it is said that if we say even the purists, even the scholars, they say that Nepal should act as the bridge between this India and China. Can we act that the bridge between India and China for economic
I
prosperity?
think Nepal is already a bridge. You take the example of Nepal, 17th, 18th century, 19th century. Look at, 10th century, Padmasambhav was out there. He came from Swat Valley. He stayed in Nepal, 12 years like that. He meditated and brought those Bon philosophy and joined it with Buddhism philosophy. And that was taken to Tibet and then to China. From the cultural side, from the economic side, from every side you look, there is always a bridge. It's not politicized. This relation is unique. We have to develop that unique relations. We have to go together like that. I think we are doing that on the right path, each and every country. Actually, though Nepal is tremendously small, 56,000 square kilometers only, in terms of population, in terms of the habitat and the economic structure, it's much lesser, but it has important role to play, especially in terms of connectivity, road connectivity, railway connectivity, that is going to be pertinent. And the huge trade, there's going to be huge trade. Westerners have realized that. Yes, Western people have realized that utility of this region. So we have to be, more brainstorming, more, let's say, simulation like that. Then we'll go together.
How can we establish a better relation or the economic relation between this India and China, since they both the country are heading towards the economic giant country, both the country as regarded as the economic giant. So how can we establish a better relation, and how can we establish a business or trade relation between these two countries? What kind of things should be kept in mind?
I think this is a very good question. Nepal is situated in between, so the offices can be started out here, negotiation skills and rules and regulations, facilitating both the countries to come together like that. Nepal can play a major positive role in that sphere also. Nepal will also had been playing that also, and it is for the benefit of all the nations. Bangladesh also, Pakistan also, India, China, everyone like that. Everyone is going to benefit, everyone.
But do you think that the relationship between India and China will give a space for the development of Nepal in terms of this Nepal as the business hub between these two countries?
It depends on the Nepalese political people, Nepalese people also, Nepalese administration also. Please, we know, our Nepalese, we need to, take each and every problem, not in a day-to-day basis, We have to build calendar, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year calendars and use our mind, use our brain, use our skills, to be prepared for those things. And then we can move forward. It's just not moving for today's day or tomorrow's day. Look at the Himalayas. Himalayas is between the Chure and then the Mahabharata 3-4 ranges, and then comes the Himalayas. We have to see the Himalayas. When we see the Himalayas, then this acceleration will definitely come forward.
Both the countries, again, while talking about this India and China, both the countries, they are economically very sound country. Then why will these two country grant Nepal as the business hub? Why they will grant Nepal as the trade hub? Because they have got sufficient kind of technology. They have got the ocean between them, and they can link up in their own way through their technology. Then why Nepal?
Nepal is situated in such a hub center. If you go from Sikkim and other places, it takes a lot of time and energy. The altitude is very high and there is a lot of snow out there. So this would be a major transit point in terms of connectivity between India, Nepal, Tibet and China. Okay, this is one thing. In terms of air connectivity also, railway connectivity also, this is one thing. Other things is we have amicable relations. That amicable relations is out there. So actually as I said, all the countries are going to benefit. It's not one country just giving some country just like that, extracting benefit. No. It's like European Union. It's like free trade like that organized. It's like ASEAN countries, trade organizations. Everyone is going to benefit. So the juxtapositioning geospatial relations, the cultural dynamics and where Nepal is situated and its utility and its mainstreaming will definitely help to that.
Right. For this, again, the political party, the leaders plays the vital role since they are the policymaker. Do you think that our leaders can do better?
I think so. I think so. Our leaders are also going to need to work very hard. Homework, do their homework.
Do you think that they are capable enough?
Sometimes I really doubt. Sometimes I have to say I really doubt. Sometimes I think they can do that, but you need to become a leader very humble. Understand the problems. Understand the case study and do more research and coalesce together, manage together. So leaders have to come together. There is no option. There is no option. If those leaders cannot do, then I'm very sorry to say other leaders can take that part.
If we see the recent development and the political development of elections and the constitution making, there is a conflict between these two, whether to go for the election or the constitution, though the government has already finalized the date for this election. What is your opinion? Do you think that this will solve the problem, or this is going to create some more problems in Nepal?
Frankly speaking, Nepal did not have local elections for the last 19 years. So there should have been four elections. We are almost at the end of the fourth election. So the constitution also promulgated, said, you have to have that election within this 1 year. So election is pertinent. Without elections, the country will go into chaos. The things are, whether it's the Madhesis or the from the Tarai region or from the Janjati or other groups who may not be satisfied, let's say the Maoist Biplab and other groups also, the government has to sit together, try to thrash out any type of issues. But elections is pertinent. Without elections, country cannot move forward. What do the people's representative want? Just imagine, if you do not have elections, the country will just go into chaos. Do you want the country to go into chaos? Do you want an undemocratic country? And we talk about parliamentary democratic system. The case study is periodic elections, Now for elections to go into amicable manners, if there are problems like what the Madhesi people and Janjati people and people are saying, as I said, government has to sit together, solve those problems and find a solution. I'm sure a solution is there. It's not a very huge major problem for Nepal. Everyone wants elections. Even the Madhist-based parties want elections. They are also very in tune with the people's wants and desires. So I think eventually this could be solved.
Right. But currently they are against this election process. Don't you think that this is again going to bring the chaos in the country?
Sadly, I really do hope that things will be solved.
Right. And while giving answer, I want to point out something on your visit in the Madhesh belt as well, since you recently went to that area as well. What is the actual sentiment of the Madhesi people?
The Madhesi people, they are Nepalese people. Madhesis are real Nepalese people, They have been living there for ages. And what I see is Madhesi people, they want democratic solution. Periodic elections they want. That is for sure. Their culture is very high. The Madhesi, as Mithila culture, Bhojpuri culture, Tharo culture, other types of culture, it's very high and huge. We need to recognize that. We need to assist them. Madhesi is such a breadbasket of Nepal. Actually, what I see during this, I think maybe 20, 15, 20 years, that will be the backbone of economic upliftment and infrastructure development for Nepal in Madhesh also, not only in the hilly regions. So the sentiments of the Madhesi people, Madhesi people want to be treated themselves as really, recognized as equal as a part. This is very necessary. So sometimes when there is too much rhetoric or sloganing also, that is very bad. And I'm very sorry to say, if there is splinter of Madhesh and bringing about division between the Nepali people, let's say the hilly people and Madhesh people or capital people from Kathmandu or Madhesh people, it's not going to augur well for the Nepalese people. And Nepalese people are not going to just sit idly, This country was made during these last 240, 45 years, with the struggle, with blood and tears and struggle of the Nepalese people. And I can tell you, only Nepal and Siam, that was Thailand, were always independent. in the Asian region. So we need to understand that, that this is very necessary. I think there is more recourse to dialogue, more dialogue is necessary, more interactiveness with the Madhesi people is necessary. Their cultural findings needs to be, assist them also, to take them into confidence, to bring them into administrative practice and other mechanism. I think and things will be better. Otherwise, there are dissidents out there. There are dissidents out there who really want to, in terms of the flexibility, deride. Yes, I think those things has to be very seriously scrutinized and seen out there.
It is not only Madhes that is back. There are so many Janajatis and the so many areas which is backward. If you say this Sudur Pashchim area also, it is quite backward in terms of development. So how can we sum up? Do you really think that the recent constitution has not been able to sum up the sentiment of those people, those backward community?
Yeah, as you said, Madhes people, Tarai people, and
Even the Janjati and even
Janjati,
the
Dalits, and other people also from the Khas areas also. Other people also, really, there's a lot of poverty in Nepal which has to be tackled out there. So what I think is, lesser amount of corruption and more autonomy to the people, more leadership quality, empowering the people, you have to give the power to them. And they will solve their problem. That was how Nepal was brought. I'm talking about 15th century, 16th, 17th, 12th century, they built that Hiranyavardhan. Can you imagine? One of the best temples in the, World Heritage, almost sites like that. Patan and all those things, 16th, 17th century. So there is that opportunity out there. But you need to believe on the people. That is necessary.
Now, do you really think that the new force should come for the development of Nepal?
I think so. I really feel the new types of thinking and ideology and behavior will definitely come into Nepal, and this cannot be solved.
What kind of new ideology you are talking about? Because the Naya Shakti, the Dr. Bavram Bhattarai party is also advocating, as they are advocating themselves as the Naya Shakti of Nepal. Even the Raprapa is saying that we are the new force to the country. Do you really believe that they both can stand still in the people's mandate, as we already said?
Actually, this really depends on the people's will. But what I really think is it is the agenda. Eventually, what type of agenda? And I'm sadly to say, most of the political parties in Nepal, whether it's even the Naya Shakti or RPP also, it's also facing dilemma. I think there are only two ways now. Either you need to become social democratic and leftist and social democratic has to combine within one fold, and another type of thinking will be competitive market system. I think this type of force will definitely come.
So both the RPP and this Naya Shakti, they are not the new force to Nepal, in your opinion?
Well, if you bring the agenda, agenda is the most important. It's not the party, it's personalities. There are personalities, Dr. Bobby is a very intellectual person, he's a very studious person, he has a lot of this struggle and everything like that. RPP also, they are very experienced, leaders out there. But it is the agenda, You have to carry the agenda. As I said, agenda cannot be in between in perplexed. Mixed economy, what type of mixed economy? Nepal wants competitive spirit, more liberalization, more competitive, more market forces. And when you deny that market force like that, Nepal is not going to accelerate its development plan or economic structure or political changes like that. So those things, now this is going to come in Nepal. In this, you'll just see within these 5-6 months or 1 year, these things will come and there will be a definite struggle. There's going to be a very huge struggle, huge struggle between the forces which could not really transform Nepal during these last 20 years, and forces or eventual forces, creation of forces, because of the economic globalization process that the whole world is championing, whether it's from Brexit in Great Britain or let's see the recent presidential election of Trump in the USA or in Germany also, wherever you see, I think this force will definitely come.
New force.
I think so.
What about you? Are you interested in joining politics or not?
I am interested in bringing agenda. That is for sure. In bringing agenda, now this is the right time to bring the right agenda for Nepal. Nepal has to accelerate its development.
Agenda in a sense, politics?
I think so.
What kind of agenda you are talking about? What will be your agenda if you join politics or if you come or immerse as the new force for Nepal?
I think first of all, nexus is necessary. publication is necessary. What type of publication? It's for more market economy, more competitiveness out there, more entrepreneurship quality like that. And those things, and taking into consideration the marginalized people also like that, this force will come. For that, I am ready to sacrifice. I learned a lot about Marxism, for 6 years I studied Marxism. I know that by heart. Marxism, Plekhanov, everything, Lenin or Stalin or whatever you say. But I really see, the country, the whole world, they just discarded this philosophy 28 years ago. And are we going to follow this philosophy right now? What has happened in Nepal? Nepal wants tectonic shift, tectonic changes.
The time has moved.
Time has moved, and time and tide waits for no one.
Now again, back to Tarai. What is your opinion on the verdict of the CK Raut force?
I think, CK Raut is also a force out there, and in terms of what I say is there is a lot of rumor about him also. But what I want to say is Nepal is a sovereign nation. Nepal cannot be divided. Nepal has to come into one fold, okay? Nepal is a single country, and if any force like CK Raut or other force tries to divide the country, people of the Tarai region and people of the other region will not support. So what I think is periodic elections will help to enhance the quality, You can go into agitation. So anti-establishment. He is trying to win over the common people's mind, in terms of, he has to speak the truth if he wants to really come into a positive type of political structure, I think that he is not doing, So you cannot just blame the hilly people for everything, or hilly people cannot blame the modest people for any type of lacunas, There is cohabitation, working together like that. So those forces which tries to separate, and no one can represent any force in terms of ethnic grounds. In terms of ethnic grounds, if any force in the world tries to, that will only create genocide. We don't want to take our country into, let's say, other types of Rwanda or other types of country.
This kind of forces is getting chance to play in Nepal. How can we solve this problem in the base of the establishing better relationship between this Tarai and the hilly region?
Frankly speaking, there is very good relations between Tarai region. I sincerely hope, when you talk about federalism, why don't we join the hill regions, mountain regions with the Tarai region?
In federalist structure.
Exactly. Because, Chatara, just example, if there is outpour of rain in Chatara, in Kosi, that will be felt in Kosi, in the Sunsari and Saptari and other regions like that, within few hours. In terms of geospatial, cultural relations, economic dimension, we are so close.
Can you suggest some of the point? How can we?
I think this federalistic structure, it has to be joined. Mountain region, hilly regions, Tarai regions.
You mean to say that 5 development region is the better option?
It could be 5, it could be 6. That's not a very big issue. The issue is coming together, cohabitation, learning from each other. And other issue is also empowerment. Empowerment to the people, You just cannot hold the economy or the governance stand into one, let's say, Politburo style, and then rule the country. That is against federalism, federalistic structure. Let us not take the example and do the mistakes that India did in terms of separation of federation, in terms of language or the region out there. Otherwise, we'll again commit the same type of mistakes, okay? Let us not do that. The mistakes that Yugoslavia they did. Bosnia or Herzegovina or Macedonia.
Learning from that mistake, what can be the solution?
I think the solution is, coming together in terms of building federalistic structure. As you said, it could be 5, 6 structures, joining the hilly region and mountain region with the Tarai region also, and empowering the people in federalistic structure. This is a must. We have to empower the people, Empower in the political, economic, and social dimension, cultural dimension. You have to give the power to them. And when the peoples recognize that power, from their experience, from their cultural factors, and that, it's a nation of nationalities, Nepal, okay? And another thing is, but the economic structure has to be one in terms of taxation, in terms of other things. It has to be liberal. It has to, If we just go on taxing and taxing the people, how will the productivity come? We have to go into service structure, productivity structure, and management style and ICT build up in an integrative fashion out there. So these are the challenges, for federalistic structure for Nepal to go when there is coming together, then this will materialize.
What about the issue on religion? Because this is also creating a kind of problem, a kind of chaos in the country.
When the state touches over the religion of the common people, then it will just lambast. That was what the Marxists committed. That very huge mistake. They talked about religion as opium out there, and then after 70 years, it's just sprouting in Soviet Union, Russia out there, and other countries of the Commonwealth of independent states out there. So in Nepal also, I would really suggest, especially from the political side, not to touch into the religion of the common people. One thing. Another thing is not to induce the people to change their religion because of giving some food or just giving some little bit of education and changing the whole religious pattern. Let's say from Buddhist religion to another religion, from Hindu religion to another Western type of religion. You know, this does not augur well for the Nepalese people. Nepalese people are very sound and wide. There's the culture is one of the best. The philosophy. Look at the Himalayas out there. All these. It's heterogeneous and living together, cohabitation, existence. It cohabits. It can cohabit with other types of religion, other types of structures. It's not a monolithic religion like that. So let us not disturb. On the religious mind of the people and just try to change their psychology and change the religion also. I'm totally against that.
All right. At last, if you want to add up something for our leaders, for our political party, for the general audience, then you are please free to add up.
What I really think, Nepal is going into this, as I said, tectonic shift out there. There is actually the paradigm shift. And Nepal is, the economic development is going to go into integrative fashion. People are very educated, very experienced like that. There are a lot of problems also, as I said, migration problem, poverty elevation like that. But we have to solve the problem in an amicable situation. Whatever leaders, the leaders need to come together, the people need to come together. But what I really suggest, the economic structure, the whole red tape economic structure has to change for accelerated development of Nepal. And I would like to quote the example of Robert Frost when he said, "And miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep." The woods are lovely, dark, and but I have miles to change before I sleep. So those types of things, there are a lot of things that has to be done. I think it will go in a positive direction.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time and your valuable opinions.
Thank you very much for the time and opportunity that you gave me. Thank you.